All
Just
right,
you
so
didn't like
Josh
Kenny
Dobbs
Pickett.
was the surprise of week 9 in the NFL. I mean, shocked the world when he came in out of nowhere. We use that as a springboard to discuss what surprised you in the first half of the season, Pete. Every team has 8 games. So about this, stupid 17-game season. We can't get. There's no halfway point. It drives me nuts. I want some like an equilibrium there. What is your biggest surprise so far of the 2023 NFL season?
That the Packers stink.
Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, that to me, I didn't see that one coming. And I thought Jordan Love would be better than he's been, but it's not just him. Christian Watson's been a non-factor. I thought this was his breakout superstar year. I think, he doesn't stay on the field. That's a concern. And so
Bakhtiari,
they didn't have their weapons together for a long period of time, and they still have guys going in and out. And I think that's been an issue for Jordan Love. But defensively, they're going to finally stop the run. Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt are going to take the next step. They look great early on. They still do the same stuff over and over again.
Packers are a candidate for the first overall pick. No, you're not even kidding. They stink.
I mean, they're not good. They're not good right now. And that surprised me, particularly after being there for a couple of days and watching them practice and talking to people. I thought they'd be much better than what they are.
Wilson, what is your biggest surprise of the first half of the 2023 NFL season?
Pete, cover your ears because you're not going to want to hear this, but it's the truth. The Bills are 5-4 somehow. How is this team 5-4? Open up with the loss to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers played 4 snaps, didn't even throw the ball. Lost to your Jaguars in London. Lost to my Mac Jones in New England. Lost to Breach's Bengals, which they just can't beat the Bengals. There's no reason to be ashamed of that. But this team, I know their injuries. Every team has injuries. Josh Allen's actually played pretty good. I was talking to Rick about Steph Diggs and maybe is he going to be an issue if he's not getting the ball more, and how do you deal with that stuff? So why is this team 5-4? What do you do with Ken Dorsey?
Well, okay, I'm going to tell you why they're 5-4. They're 5-4 because the defense that they thought was going to be dominant has lost way too many players. So they're not dominant anymore. So what do you need to do? You need to do what you did 2 weeks ago. Play up-tempo, no huddle, go. The other night, the opening drive against the Bengals, they played fast, they played loose, they played free. You know how many times they ran the ball on first down on that drive? None. You know how many times they ran it on first down the next 3 drives that they had? I think it was 4 or 5 first down plays they ran it. They got stalled out by the stupidity of the play calling. Allow that guy to play fast and loose and free because your defense isn't any good right now. It just isn't. Think about what they've lost. Daquan Jones, best run player on the inside. Milano. They lost Bernard the other night. That wasn't in the game. They lost
Tre'Davious White.
They lost Benford the other night.
Poyer and Hyde were on the sidelines hurt too. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have the defense that Sean McDermott thinks he has and he doesn't, then you have to let Josh Allen become crazy free and just throw it around 50 times a game. Breach, as a Bengals fan, you're watching that game. The Bengals never changed what they did. Didn't matter. They just kept pushing the pedal. The other team changed and stopped pushing the pedal. And you probably, as a Bengals fan, you were thrilled that they did.
Yeah, I mean, when you're watching the Bills offense, everything you just said is what you don't want. When they just put the foot to the gas and say, all right, we're just going to go up-tempo, high speed, and try and wear out the opposing defense. And they didn't really try that at all. And who knows? We saw how successful they were on the first drive. But what if that was just Dorsey saying, that's our script. Let's try and see if we score. Then we're going to go back to being the Bills, which is whatever Dorsey thinks the Bills is, which is not exactly working. But it is baffling that they didn't really go back to what was so successful on that first drive.
I do wonder, and I floated this early in the season, and then it didn't really happen quite as much. But I think it might be happening now with Brian Dable gone and Ken Dorsey as the play caller and the offensive coordinator. When that change happened, or maybe I floated it last year, when that change happened, you sort of had to wonder, would Sean McDermott have more input on what they were doing offensively? And it wouldn't surprise me at all if you found out that Sean McDermott was saying, like, we need to run the ball more. We need to run the ball and play defense, even though they don't have a great running game and they don't have a great defense.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. But there were some comments made after the game the other day by Sean McDermott and by Josh Allen, and they were kind of flippant in that the way the game was called. And if you go back and read them and read between the lines, and I believe me, I've read between many lines over the years, it didn't sound like either one of them was happy with what the game plan was.
All right, let me ask you this before we move on. Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Who's your quarterback of the future on your team, on Team Prisco?
That's a tough one for me. That's like
Not
people
tough,
picking between two children.
I have one of my child.
That's like, for me, that's like picking people. They say, you have your favorite kid?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Uh-huh.
You do?
Yeah, it's my young one, the 12-year-old. I love him. I'm kidding. Of course
oh my
not.
God.
Of course not.
What? Oh my gosh, this guy's so callous. He picked one of his kids over the rest of them.
And he didn't waste any time doing it, Pete. So make your pick.
Yeah, I was joking.
I mean, you know what, too? He did it so quickly and nonchalant. I mean, like there was no hesitation.
None.
The truth came out.
That's
If you were on the
dude.
if I was the prosecutor, you're guilty. You're guilty as hell.
Dude,
No.
do you know who's a bigger pain in the ass? A 16-year-old or a 12-year-old? It's not even close.
There's a lot of
Wilson walked downstairs. It's like his 16-year-old and his friends were down there watching like some R-rated movie. It's like what movie was it?
the Wolf. They were watching the Wolf of Wall Street,
The
which has
Wolf
a
of
lot
Wall
of
Street.
has
Like,
a
I
lot of
was
action
like-
in that thing, Pete.
I watched that recently again. And it's like
You're worried about what he's watching?
Wolf of Wall Street.
16? Come on. When I was, this is a true story. When I was probably
I don't want to hear this
7
story.
or
I do.
8. Yeah, you do. My dad took us
How
to
old?
you guys 7 or 8. The drive-in movies. Remember the drive-in
Oh, yeah.
movies?
Yeah.
So he took us to see MASH.
Okay.
He went to see MASH, and I don't know, but remember there's a scene with Hot Lips Houlihan in it, and he made us duck down in the back behind the back seat, and we're just. But the thing was still on, and me and my brothers are like peeking up between thing. Yeah,
That's good
true
parenting.
story.
Yeah, that's good parenting.
16, Ryan, you're worried about your kid watching Wolf of Wall Street at 16? Are you kidding
No.
me?
No,
What are you doing?
Here's the
I
complete
didn't know
story.
it was at Arizona State when I was
Wilson went
16.
upstairs and threw him a bunch of Quaaludes.
Hey, and Wolf of Wall Street takes place in New York. So way to bring the podcast full circle
That's
here.
We'll talk
Wilson's
about
16-year-old.
we'll talk round 2 of. I love my kids equally, and Pete, they can watch what they want. Quickly, the only issue was he had some buddies over. I didn't want their parents calling me saying, "Why is my son watching some crazy stuff?" So that's the only thing.
Your kids are 16 too.
I get it.
Bre-
Are you
Breach,
taking Joe
what's-
Burrow or Josh Allen?
Oh yeah,
I
that's right.
can't pick between the two of them.
Pete,
Okay.
just say Joe Burrow. Pick the guy who's actually been to the Super Bowl
Hey,
and
you
beaten
want to
Patrick
know?
Mahomes multiple
you-
times.
Ooh, you want to know who's? You could tell. Pete said he knew Wilson's guilty. I know Pete's guilty too because Pete wants to say Josh Allen and he can't right now. He knows it's Burrow.
No, I like both of them equally. I do. I think they just do it differently.
They do it
I
differently.
I really think Josh Allen's being hindered by by his play caller.
Breach, what's your biggest surprise so far of the 2023 NFL season?
My biggest surprise is one CJ Stroud. And the whole entire Texans and how they're playing. When we did our preseason show back in August, all of us agreed that, hey, look, the Texans could be a team to sprinkle something on because the roster was pretty solid, especially compared to what they were last year when they went 3-13-1. It was going to come down to how well CJ Stroud played. We had no idea what he was going to look like, but if he played average football, the team could compete in the AFC South. Well, he's not playing average football. He is playing high-level, top 10 quarterback in the NFL level football. And so for him to be playing that well, especially when we've seen, I think, 9 rookie quarterbacks start this year, and none of them have been close to Stroud. For him to come in and show, just put up the numbers he's putting up, especially setting the passing record last week against the Buccaneers, to engineer that kind of drive in the final seconds, that just showed veteran poise. You do not see that from a rookie quarterback very often. So, Pete, how surprised have you been with CJ Stroud?
Very. I'll be honest with you. Very.
Yeah.
But let's not forget, a week ago he threw for 190 yards.
Yeah, he got
against,
beat by Bryce Young. I mean,
That was the
Yeah.
only blemish, though. That's the only blemish so
yeah,
far.
I mean,
through 9 weeks.
you know what he does to me? He makes it look so easy.
he does.
So easy, and he's calm, and he's not. He doesn't ever seem rattled by the situation, and the ball comes out of his hands, and he doesn't move. He stands there, and he lets the plays develop. And now, in fairness to people out there who say, "Okay, well, he can't be as good as that in those numbers," the Bucs were dreadful on defense, and they didn't change. They did the same thing over and over and over. How do you allow him to hit that shot on the left sideline the second to last play in between the zone coverage. It's inexcusable. Carlton Davis was awful last week. But having said all that, kudos to CJ Stroud. I said this the other day, and I'm not comparing him to him because God knows I think he's the greatest passer of all time, Dan Marino. But the way he throws and calm and sits in that pocket and gets the ball out, it just reminds me of him a lot.
Wow.
Well, it's funny that you were going after Danny Cannell yesterday because he said he's a top 10 quarterback right now in the NFL, and you said slow your roll, which I love when you say. Who are the 9 better quarterbacks?
I mean, you wouldn't have said it last week when he threw for 190 against Carolina.
That's the only bad game he's had.
Overreact to one play.
That's the
I
one.
mean, let's go. I mean, if you go through Pete's power rankings, I mean, Hurts, Lamar, Lawrence.
Mahomes, I mean, has Lawrence played as consistently as CJ this season?
You would take CJ Stroud over Lawrence.
They're close. I mean, just talking about this year.
I mean, you took Mac Jones over Lawrence in that draft. So
just talking about this year's stats.
Who would you take, Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud this year?
This year? Is he? We can always do it. Kirk Cousins has great stats every year. Do you take him over those guys too?
Yes.
I think it's pretty close. I think CJ Stroud's pretty close to the top 10. Like just looking at it. Like if you're leaving, because like is Herbert a top 10 quarterback?
Let it marinate for a little while. It's 10. What is it? 9 games? Is that what it is?
Brenton,
9?
This is the same guy that has already put Will Levis in the Hall of Fame.
In the Hall of Fame. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
No, I haven't. You gotta let that marinate too. You have to let it. But you know what though? One thing we do know.
Here we go. Hold on, boys. Here it comes.
Carolina picked the wrong guy.
There it is.
Wow.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Let it marinate.
That crazy of a statement.
Of all the rookies,
CJ Stroud ain't doing this on Carolina, dude. That Carolina offensive line stinks, and the receivers are way worse than what the Texans.
But Bryce Young's so indecisive.
But he beat Jacksonville with 4 backup offensive linemen. CJ Stroud that day. So let's go back to these two. Let's go back. Which of the 4 quarterbacks that were taken early in that draft?
You know the answer to this.
Which one's played worse? Who's
Bryce.
been the worst player?
But to Brinson's point, that organization offensively is an absolute doo-doo show.
Okay.
The Panthers don't have a Bryce Young problem. They have a David Tepper problem.
in 2 games, has Will Levis played better than any game?
Yes, of course
Bryce
he has.
Young? Okay. What does he have?
Well, wait. To what Wilson's saying about the Panthers having no weapons, it's not like people came in saying, Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Robert Woods are these all-star Pro Bowlers.
That was my talking point Sunday night. They'll steal my talking point and use it against me.
Well, you can't say that Bryce Young has horrible weapons when no one thought CJ
Stroud
really has weapons.
No, but Tank Dell and Nico Collins and those guys can all get downtown or like get downfield downtown.
Tank Dell can.
Downtown.
Dude, the Panthers have 0 vertical weapons. They have nothing.
Listen,
they don't have any vertical weapons. They do not.
It is rare that I agree with Brinson.
What does Will Levis have for vertical weapons?
Have you heard of DeAndre Hopkins? He's actually pretty good, it turns out.
He can't run.
He was wide ass open on 3 touchdown passes.
He commits offensive pass interference and he gets open way down the field.
Treylon Burks can't. Is Burks any good?
No.
He got hurt. Take it easy on Treylon.